Welcome back to episode 23 of Chambers Chatter. I'm Laura Chambers Babalis.
And I'm Shae Chambers Helms. Today we are super excited to introduce Charles and Leith Webb to the show, multi-generational Beaufortonians that have some fun stories to tell. Welcome, Charlie and Leith. Thank y'all so much for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
Good time to be here.
I know. So I'm going to kind of let y'all start off on wherever y'all want to start. If y'all want to go all the way back to the beginning and growing up here, or where y'all want to start.
Well, we grew up here in Beaufort. Both of us have been here all our lives. We grew up on Factory Creek, stayed in the river until we got old enough to work, which back then was about 14.
I got my first job when I was 13. You had to be 16 to work in a packing house. But Billy Amor and I took a bent cigarette and lit it, put on sunglasses, and got hired at 13.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we did.
Where'd you work?
We worked at a packing shed out in Burton where Neil Trask packed his tomatoes. Now, Neil didn't know we were there because we would have been illegal, but that's how we did it. And we grew up in the marsh right out there. That was our playground.
Sure was. We were in it every day. I know Mike Nichols and I left Beaufort Academy and went to work in the 6L's packing shed at, I think it might have been 13 or 14. Worked for 2 hours and got fired. They came up and told us, y'all are too young to work. So they ran us off and we went shrimping.
Oh, great way to end the day.
Yeah, well, that's what we did for our living.
Well, look, our economy back then was the military bases where our dads worked civil service, farming and fishing.
Yeah.
There was not any tourism, not much real estate to sell. But the fishing part of it, there was a Blue Channel Crab Company in Port Royal. There was coastal seafood on Eddings Point. There were shrimp docks almost everywhere. So a lot of fresh seafood came out of here. When I was in high school, I had 9 fellows in my class. All of them's daddies were farmers but mine, and there's one of them left in the farming business. So that's really changed. There was no real commerce. It just kind of stayed the same, which was great, really, at the time. He shrimp, I farm.
Your old best of both worlds.
I left home. Well, I didn't leave home. I ended up down at Gase Seafood living on a boat called the Glenda Ray at 14. I lived there all summer long. Back then, there wasn't that much traffic on the road, so we actually would wait till about 6 o'clock and shower right out on the front of the dock under the hose. And stayed there on that boat, and then the next year, at 15, I ran the boat for the guy that owned it.
What?
And we did that all through junior high, high school, college, and then when we got out, I did it full time till my wife said, I need to do something else.
Well, what did your parents think about you doing this full time?
I did that too. I kept thinking.
I was the...
We bought him a shrimp boat. What you talking about?
They were like, go.
Well, actually, I was the youngest of 4. So by the time I came along,
He could buy.
they didn't
buy
question anything I did. And I
He was
stayed
hanging with
down
your Uncle Joe at the time, and it was trouble.
And only, we got to go into those stories.
Well, you don't want to go there.
I spent a lot of time with Joe. Joe and I were the same age. I spent the night over here many times, and spent the night at Fripp Island many times with Joe, and he was quite the rounder.
Yes, he was.
I'm telling you, he could get a girl when none of us could.
Oh my gosh.
But when we grew up in Beaufort, the same families had lived here. My mom and dad went to school with your grandparents.
Yeah.
Their grandparents went to school. So it was just all the same families. It was seldom anybody new came here. So when there was a funeral or a wedding or a birthday party or a bar mitzvah, same group from town all the time. And you kind of knew the good, the bad, and the ugly at that time. And every family had one of each. But you could get in trouble with the law. And by the time you got home, your mom and daddy already knew about it.
Oh, yeah. One water festival, and we used to bring the shrimp boats, and you don't want to get me going on the water festival too much because it's really gone from here to here, unfortunately. But we'd bring the shrimp boats around and tie them up to the seawall. And I remember one year, A. Deloach was on my boat with the deck hose going, and people would just get on them. And we were trying to keep everybody off, just people the 200 people we knew. And he was squirting them on the seawall, trying to keep them off the boat.
He was a bouncer with a hose.
We were out there one time,
Big old
and
hose.
Robert Gay, bless his soul, was on the seawall, and he wanted to come out. Well, they used to close the river from the bridge to the sandbar, pretty much, and you weren't supposed to go. Well, we got in the boat and we went. And we were going along there, and there must have been, I don't know how many thousands of people on the seawall. And there was a guy, we called him Harry O. the Harbor Cop.
Harry O. the Harbor Cop.
And he gets on me. And he starts coming, and everybody, and the seawall's going, go! I threw her in the corner. So I finally said, you know, I got a tri-hull boat with a 60, and he's got a big old boat with 100, probably 100. He said, he's going to catch me, so I slowed down. And he came up there, and he said, all right, y'all all under arrest for failure to stop for a blue light and siren. I said, we're going to jail today. Well, then he let us go. I had to go to court. Went to Pesci Cappleman's court. I walk in there, and he slams the gavel and says, let the good times roll.
Oh my God.
And so he says, Mr. Webb, I got you for public drunk. Well, I didn't have enough sense to realize what he was doing. So I said, he said, how do you plead? I said, well, for public drunk, not guilty. He slams the gavel back down, and he says, okay, Mr. Webb, we're going to bound you over for
General Sessions Court.
General Sessions Court, failure to stop the blue light and siren. Now get the hell out of here. I said, oh, crap. So I walk outside, and there was a policeman that worked for them for years called Days. Y'all may know Days. He has a flooring business now. He comes outside, and he puts it on me, and he says, you stand right here and don't you move. I said, okay. Because he told me, he said, didn't you see what he was doing? I said, no, I didn't see it. And he called me a couple of names. And he goes back in, he says, come back in here with me right now. So I go up there, and Mr. Pesci says, well, how you plead now? I said, guilty. He goes, $100. Now get the hell out of here.
Oh my God.
He saved a lot of people. He knew that we were just funning around. I was telling y'all that nobody ever came here when we were young. They didn't.
Right.
If you saw a pretty girl in the pew in church, that's probably who you're going to marry, and that's what I did. But I had to meet her father. And I just been piece of work. We got things. I just started courting Martha Lynn. She was a grade below me. And we're talking about the Amar sissies, who were our neighbors, and we'd talk about that in a little while. Well, they had some geese in their yard, and they had a gander goose that was mean as a snake. It would bite you and flap at you and hit you. So Neely Amar called me, their dad, and said, Johnny Jones wants a gander goose to mate with his geese. Can you take that goose down to Johnny Jones' house? I said, sure. So I called Martha Lynn's house on the phone. I said, and I got her daddy. So I said, Buck, I need to take a gander goose down to Johnny Jones's. Can Martha Lynn ride with me? He said, son, I have heard it all. I said, I'm telling the truth. He said, yeah. So I did something stupid. I knew that Buck and Martha went to bed early because I'd been over to Martha, and so I just let them go to bed. And I took that goose back and I put it right between them. And I went back and I sat in the living room. A few minutes, honking, peeping, slapping. Buck is running down the hall with that goose, biting him on the behind.
Oh.
And I said, I told you. He said, yeah, you did. And he believed me from then on. I was either going to get shot or I could take his daughter down to Neely Amont to Johnny Jones's to drop the goose off. So I got to Johnny Jones's. I unpacked the goose. Johnny wasn't home. I just opened the living room door, put him in there.
Right inside.
But that's how, like I say, not many people came here. So we picked out a pretty one early on. You had to hold on. And that's my wife for 50 years now.
50 years.
About
Golly. And you've been married to Cindy how long?
45 years.
Golly. Yeah.
And we knew each other when we were in the first grade. And her brother and I were best friends. That would be Steve Dempsey, better known to most as Jelly Brain.
Jelly Brain.
And Jelly Brain and I hung around. We were young.
Boy.
Back before we started working, we would ride the bikes down to Yacht and Sailing Club because that's where the gals were. And we'd go down there, or we would. One time we fashioned a shrimp boat in a tin V-bottom boat. We made 2 doors that long, got 2 big old pieces of bamboo out of Bailey's bamboo field, which is where Whitehall is now. They had bamboo in there.
It was
big.
big
wow.
stuff, giant stuff.
And got a little tri-net, and we would row it. We never went sailing unless it was blowing 40. But Cindy's mother told her one time, way before we ever started dating, she says, "You're going to marry that boy." And Cindy said, "I ain't marrying him." You know, if you gave her a choice today, she'd probably say the same thing. But yeah, we knew each other from when we were little.
We were living on Factory Creek. There were three docks on Factory Creek at the time. It was out of town.
3.
It was out of town.
Yeah. We were the 3rd house over there, I believe.
That's
Kinda-
crazy.
Daddy and Mama gave us a boat for Christmas. We used to call them a battle. It's just a rowboat, but it had a 5-horse motor on it. So Daddy took us down to the boat landing, put the boat in, and said, "I'm not going to tell you to crank it up. You get it back to the house." You had to swim it, bog it, row it. We got it back to the house, and that boat kept us alive for years. And we had experiences in it I couldn't tell you half of them. But our original navigation limits were Spanish Point and Pigeon Point. Then it became Brickyard and Port Royal. Then it became anywhere you want to go, because we could swim anyway we got in trouble. We had camp outs on that thing. We got in a lot of trouble in it, shooting ducks over the motor and whatnot. But it was a great thing because it was our way to get to town.
Right.
It sank 13 times.
Oh my.
13 times. And finally going across back after everybody grew up, I wasn't on this trip, but Charles and them were going across Fripp Inlet. I think that was the same motor, and the top blew off of it, and we never found it back.
We had a guy, our next door neighbor, he had a friend that was a big hunter, and they used to go marsh hen hunt. This guy was a professional hunter, he knew what he was doing. Well, he had his gun stuck on the side of the boat, and bam, blew a hole in it. Had to patch that up. It was called Brothers 4. Because I've still got the nameplate in my den at home.
We got some pictures of it my parents took when we were young and going to the Water Festival, which used to be a 2-day event or a long weekend event.
Well, I used to go to town in it because I played with Billy Amor and Tolan Sam's. And I ran crab traps for Blue Channel Crab Company at 13 or 14. And I made just enough money to take them down to the Breeze Theater and buy popcorn and watch a Tarzan movie. And the projector at the Breeze Theater didn't have a bulb in it. It had an acetylene flame.
Wow.
They played the same Tarzan movie every Saturday, and the film would get stuck, and Tarzan would melt on the screen.
Burn a hole right in it.
Right in it. Well, that was the time.
Every Saturday.
Pretty
like
much,
clockwork.
Pretty much. And that was the time for Raisinette Wars. They had a really good concession stand, and you buy goobers and good stuff. Who would want to get chocolate-covered raisins? Well, when the Tarzan melted, they had these lover seats where the smooches would sit in, these double seats. Wham! We hit them. I got kicked out of the movie a bunch of times throwing Raisinets at the lovers. And
it was back then, it was still segregated.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I mean, they had an entrance that went upstairs.
For black people.
And the entrance downstairs for the white people. And I mean, it's hard to believe that still went on, but it did.
It was all in fun, but underneath the balcony where the black people sat were about 4 rows where nobody ever sat, because they would spit on you, dump things, just out of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I was sitting in front of that movie one time watching the Tarzan movie, and an atomic fireball hit me in the back of the head. So I know where it came from.
Yep.
I got me a big orange on that third one.
Oh my
Then the war would
gosh.
start, throwing stuff. They even had fat man seats in there.
Yeah.
And they had a lady that worked there named Miss Smith.
Oh, gosh.
And she'd come down with that flashlight, and I can't tell you how many times she kicked us out of there.
Throwing Raisinets.
I remember one time they took us there, and your mother may have been in on this, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, back in our age group, when they took us to see The Godfather.
Okay.
Well, I had been going to public school, and we went over to the private school, and I had this gal friend since 7th grade in private school, but I had an old gal friend from public school. And I was back and forth and back and forth, and I wasn't paying a lick of attention to that movie. And it's a long movie, it's 4 hours.
Yeah.
Intermission came. I said, damn, I'm glad this thing's over. Well, it wasn't over, just halfway through.
Oh my gosh. And did each of them know that you were going back and forth?
I don't know if they ever found out or not, but man, I was a busy fella that day.
How old were you guys around this point?
Must have been, I was probably 7th grade.
7th grade.
Oh my gosh, young.
I don't
Okay.
know how old you were back then.
See, we were in public school when the schools desegregated. And it was actually taking two cultures and putting them together and said, you're going to get along. And
We did.
we did. My mama told me, he said, if a lady comes in the room, I don't care if she's black, brown, green, chartreuse, or purple, you always stand up.
You always stand up.
And when you shake a man's hand, you look him in the eye, I never had a problem with it. But I would say this, your granddad put Beaufort Academy together in one summer.
Wow.
Absolutely did. And it was truly at that time a white flight school. It's not anymore. It's got all kind of kids from everywhere in it. But I went there in the 9th grade. Leith went in the 7th grade. And,
Six, yeah.
And it was just a new thing in town.
Your granddaddy head shook me and Joe many a time.
Oh, God.
Boys.
Now, there was a bridge going across Beaufort River when I was young. And Henry Chambers had the first concrete company. And the bridge was actually made out of wood with asphalt on top of it. His concrete trucks went to go across it, and the tires sunk into the asphalt.
Oh, that's
And the
scary.
railings on it were wooden.
Oh, yeah.
And it was wide enough for two cars, and that was about all.
And flat.
Flat.
Flat. Asphalt over wood, I believe.
Yeah, it was. So when they finally tore it down, when Daddy was a little boy, it was built, they had a thing in the middle of turnstile, so when the motors didn't work, they'd get people in town to get out and walk around the turnstile to open the bridge. But
Yep.
there was very little river traffic. There was fuel barges for the air station
Yeah.
and pulpwood barges to go to the mill in Savannah. Nobody had a yacht back then.
No yachts.
There was just, every once in a while, this crabbing boat. But the pulpwood barges would stack the pulpwood up real high. Rather than push the barge through the bridge, they'd pull it. And they'd go with the tide, and every once in a while it would turn sideways and dump logs all over Beaufort.
All over the river.
Oh, that's wild. That's so wild to think about.
I remember going across that bridge, and I was a little fella.
It was scary. Get down to the bottom of the car. Now the new bridge, Mr. Langford used to be the bridge tender. And we would get down on the concrete things on the bottom and fish. He said, y'all get off of that. So come on down and make us. And
Good to you.
he couldn't swim, I don't think. So we stayed down there and fished and played. Probably drank a few beers or something like that, I'm not sure. But it was good fishing at the time.
How'd y'all get down there?
In a boat.
In a
We'd
boat.
take the brothers
Okay, I
forward
was
and
seeing
tie
that
up.
too. I was like, what?
We camped on those things sometime.
What?
Yeah, you
It's
spend the
just
night
as hard
on
as this floor.
Is that thick?
Concrete.
Just concrete?
And just stayed out there.
Stay out there.
Okay. Okay.
Why
not go to an
parents
island?
thinking
Yeah.
during
Well, the
this
fishing
time?
was good at the bridge.
We'd fish there. Generally, we'd go fishing and catch 5 or 6 little fish like that, and then we'd take off and we'd go out to where the McTier Bridge is now, which wasn't there then, and shark fish.
Sharkfish.
And many a day we caught 4 or 5 sharks that long. Now, that's about all we'd catch, but
I had a
don't
scuba
ever
diving
want to catch
tank.
another shark again in my life.
Let me tell you, shark
You went
skin
scuba diving. So you just said?
underneath the bridge, yeah.
Oh gosh.
I had a scuba diving outfit when I was probably 15, and they had to have some work done in it's like swimming in the dark.
Yeah.
You bump into stuff all over the place. Well, the phone line going across the river was outside of the bridge. And every time the state barge would come to fix the bridge, they put the anchor down and break the phone line. So they decided what we'll do is we'll run the phone line up the bridge and down under the draw. Mm-hmm. So they had to have somebody stupid enough to go down there. I think they were going to pay me $300, which was a lot of money.
Oh, boy.
But down underneath that bridge is just like driving in a bunch of pile in the dark.
$300, man, you were like...
I was in like Flint, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Rich.
So you
I
were
tell you
hired
what.
by what, the city of Beaufort to do this, or the phone company?
It must have been phone company.
Phone
I'm not sure. The cable kept getting popped, and they would call me to go mark it. So I'd go down in my scuba outfit, not the one under the bridge, but the one out in the river, and you'd ride along, you'd swim along in this slime down there till you finally hit the cable. Then you tie a rope on it with a Clorox jug on it. So I got Clorox
still
jug
do it.
all the way across the river, and a shrimp boat comes along and ran over all of them. And every time the state barge would come, they'd pop the phone. There was no public water over at the time. You had to have a well.
Right.
There was a big water line down there now. I don't think they've broken that.
Well, after the
That would be
Brothers
good.
4 finally bit the dust, so to speak, our cousin Owen, who used to live right down here,
Oh, yeah.
grew up right here on this street, had a boat, and he had an old Evinrude, dark blue Evinrude motor on it, and they named it the Carrie Lee, which was a lady that raised us. Both our parents worked, and
Carrie Lee
she
was
was
my mom.
400 pounds of pure love.
She was.
And we loved that woman to death but she'd make you cut your own switch.
She would.
And she'd tear you up with it. But anyhow, one time we went and she played hide and seek with you and moan and groan. You take off running. I remember sitting there one time and my brother Paul would sleepwalk. And Roger Pinckney made a little table about this long, little bench for us. And me and Carrie Lee was sitting up. My parents were gone somewhere playing cards. And Paul got out to bed, walked in
asleep,
and peed right on the cards. Never woke up.
Oh my
And
God.
Carrie Lee fell back laughing. I don't know how she's going to get up. She laughed so hard. But one time, Vince Amar and I got in, bless his soul also. I got all these people that have gone now. Got into Carrie Lee, and we rode over to town. And we used to go right there by the bridge, and we'd walk up to Fordham's and get our tackle. And we rode up there one day.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And the boat bumped, rocked right there. And I happened to look over, and there was an old black lady laying in the water, brushing it on her. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I waved, and she waved, and Vince froze. Because I was in the front of the boat to get out. I said, Vince, go to the back. Let's get out of here. Vince, he wouldn't move. So I pushed the boat out, and back then the police station was right by where the marina is.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
we took off down there and ran up the old wooden floats of the marina, and there's some lady old lady who'd gotten away and jumped off, and they went and rescued her, but scared the hell out of us.
I cannot imagine.
I tell you, Carrie Lee, one time, she would babysit at night, and she'd play games with us. So one night, she wanted to do all-star wrestling. So she got all four brothers in their slingshot underwear and put us in the living room. And we'd do an all-star wrestling tag team. If you came out of the tag team without getting tagged, she'd get that broom, bam, get your ass back in there.
Oh.
And Daddy would always put a cheap whiskey on the front of the counter because she liked to nip, and Daddy knew it. Well, I'm in the kitchen one time nipping with Carrie when Mom and Daddy drove in. And I ran to the back of the house. I think she gargled Clorox. I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
She was so sweet.
She used to come to our school dances supposedly to wash glasses, and we weren't drinking liquor in there. We weren't supposed to be. We were, but we weren't supposed to be. She'd be washing glasses. Well, it wasn't long before she got into it. And Carrie could drink now. And she'd get in the... Well, she didn't drink all the time, but if she was at something like that, she'd get on it.
Social function.
And son, next thing you know, she's on the dance floor.
She could do it, too.
I remember her taking Bubba Patterson and throwing him around like a rag doll she
Oh
had.
my gosh.
Just a dancing. I forget how she got home, but she got home every night.
Oh.
My daddy worked at Parris Island for 38 years as a civil engineer. He retired and 3 days later went to work for a new place called Dawtaw. He put in the roads and the sewers and the bridges. Came home one day as a child. He said, the Yankees are coming south with suitcases full of money now, not guns. And he said, some of them are nice people. Some of them are jackasses. You'll know the difference. And I've even talked to some Yankees that agree with.
Oh, yeah.
Sure enough.
Oh my gosh.
Get you in trouble. Now, we used to go hunting on all over Ladies Island. There were quail everywhere. But I remember walking down Sunset Bluff Road with my shotgun, and the sheriff's deputy pulls up and said, what you doing, Charlie? I said, I'm hunting squirrels. He said, well, I hope you get a lot of them, and drove off. So I'm walking down the highway with a shotgun.
Can you imagine that today? I mean,
And what I would do is there was a little red and white store, kind of a country store, a couple of miles away. You could collect glass Coca-Cola bottles and turn them in for 2 cents a piece. So I would get me a bag of Coke bottles and go down to Mr. Yeoman's store and trade the Coke bottles in for shotgun shells. Well, I went in there one time. I had a bunch of squirrels with me and shotgun shells, blood all over my hands. Traded them in, got in the bus. Says, Charlie, that Jack's cookie jar has got some good cookies in it. So I'm sticking my squirrel bloody hand, and the best cookie was in the bottom of the jar. I can't empty.
oh my gosh.
But right across the
Did they
street.
say anything?
Oh, right across. Oh, no. He didn't care. He was happy with it. I got my shotgun shells and we shot some more squirrels.
Right across the street was Grunch's store.
Grunch's store. Oh,
He
Grunch.
was meaner than hell.
He was mean.
And you'd go in there, and back then gas was what, 50 cents a gallon?
Yep.
You go in there and get a gallon or 2 gallons of gas, and he'd say, what the hell you want, a road map? And Charles and them would go in there, and they'd make him count out $1 worth of penny candy. Back then, you'd get a grape bubble gum or Fireball, something for a penny.
Yep.
Tootsie Roll, counted all that and said, Charles said, I don't want it. I mean, did it on purpose. And boy, he went to raising hell.
The same guy that owned a red and white store used to love to pull it on Grunch. So after I got my shotgun shells, he gave me a $5 bill and said, walk over to Grunch's and get a 1-cent piece of candy.
Yeah.
He saw Grunch run out, ran me out. I went up there one night. We were going to get an ice cream from Yeoman's Red and White. It was closed, so Mama drives into Grunch's. She gave me a $20 bill to buy some Nutty Buddies. But she said, now when you give the man the $20 bill, say, out of 20, just to make sure he knows. I did it. He said, you think you're pretty damn smart, don't you? I told my mama that. She went in. Oh, she gave it to Grunch that night.
Oh, my.
He was there even when we went to high school. And those guys finally figured out that they could push his buttons pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd push him. And his wife had false teeth.
Gritting
And
them the
she
whole
just
time.
sit there.
It was terrible.
Oh, my God. Those are probably the only 2 stores on Ladies Island.
There were.
They were.
Yeah.
And when I was a little boy, we used to take vacations. And our vacation would be to like St. Augustine. So
See the fort and go to the monkey farm.
So that's about as far as we ever went.
See the fort and go to the monkey farm. That was it.
My brother, I'd have to ride on top of one of the suitcases. My brother told me, said, now every time we pass under one of these overpasses, that's a mile. Well, some of those things are 10 miles apart. And I'd be sitting there, man. Because I said, Daddy, how far? Well, we got about 100 miles, and I thought we'd never get there. But my mother was talking about going somewhere, and I was a little boy, and I remember she never forgot this. I told her, said, Mama, I ain't never been anywhere but Yeoman's and the Piggly Wiggly.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, you go into town, right on the corner of Bay Street and Charles Street, there was an A&P. And you went in there and you ordered your groceries. Basically,
Yep.
stood and told them what you wanted, and they brought them out.
Kind of like
They
maybe
didn't
an
have
RFD.
They
Yeah,
didn't
ahead
have
of time.
a conveyor belt to take them. It's just a wooden counter. I remember some gal in there had high hair and red. What was her name? Red, always had red lipstick and
Oh,
red
yeah,
fingernail.
Isn't it funny what your memory
I'm
sticks
telling you,
to?
it is. It really is.
I'm walking up Piggly Wiggly one day, and Daddy had been a bag boy there when he was in high school. And he had a black friend named Snake Eyes. And
Stink Eyes?
Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes. Okay.
And Snake Eye was pure Gullah. Have you ever heard pure Gullah? Snake Eye says, Charlie, when the shum Bosam? That is, I shum. Where you going? I know. Have you seen Bo Sam? Do you know where he's gone? I haven't seen him. It was like that. And when I first went to work where I worked downtown, I was kind of the translator for ladies that didn't come from here. And I had a guy come in one time, and I said, your policy's lapsed. He says, you mean the graveyard dead? I said, yeah, graveyard dead, just like that. But
That's all gone now.
it's
pretty
all
much.
gone.
Pretty much.
It's all gone.
It's hard to find
When the
a...
Sham Bosam? Yeah, Sham. Daddy knew it because he worked down there.
Yeah.
Snake Eyes, that's that guy. That was by Bo Sam McGowan, who was a real, he would have known your granddaddy really well.
Oh.
Unreal.
And so, but just through like the shrimping and the fishing, y'all picked up on the Gullah too.
Yep.
That is
There were
wild.
some guys that, like Batty B, no one could understand him if you didn't know him. I mean, he talked a million miles an hour, but you learn how to understand it.
It's pretty much gone. I mean, what you hear now is not what we heard.
Right.
Right.
But I had plenty of black friends when I was little. There was no animosity
Still
there at
do.
all.
Yeah.
It's a shame what happens now in that whole mess because it wasn't always like that. Mama taught third grade in public school, and she loved her students. And the Gullah culture had a way of figuring and doing things that I don't know how they ever figured out how to do it. I worked with a carpenter one year who knew every trick in the book without using his tape or his square. And it was really a learning experience. But to show you how funny it was and how rhythmic it was, Mom was teaching them reading, writing, arithmetic. So she tried to teach them reading out of a Dick, Jane, and Sally reading book, which we all use. They didn't have any idea what that was. So Mama said, why don't you tell me your stories, and we'll figure out how to write them down. And she finally did that. Then she was trying to teach them how addition is independent of sequence. 4 plus 5 equals 9, and 5 plus 4 equals 9. It just didn't fit. Finally, one little boy in the back, I knows what it is, miss. I knows what it is. It's rice and peas. It's peas and rice. It's all the same thing. But that kind of logic and it was cool to work with it. Because where they had been, there wasn't a lot of education going on. There is finally now.
Right.
But it was Sam. It was a different deal altogether.
That is
Sure was.
wild.
This was a wonderful place to grow up.
Oh, yeah.
And this neighborhood was a wonderful place to visit from people like myself who lived over on the island.
They had a neighborhood
Y'all had
reunion
a
here the other
pile
day.
of-
Yeah, they did.
100 Pines reunion. I talked to Howard about that.
Yeah, they my mom and
Yeah,
dad
they
went.
went to it.
They had quite a gang of guys over here. And
Yeah,
every
they
once
get
in
you
a
in
while
trouble
we'd
in a
get
heartbeat.
pleasure of coming over here and playing with them.
That is too funny.
Stephen Demosthenes, Joe, Bill, Giz McDowell, Bobby Sanders, Donnie Sanders, a whole bunch of
They
them.
all had a nickname, too.
Well,
Everybody gets a
so
nickname.
what is the story? Okay,
Everybody gets a nickname.
everybody has a nickname. What is the reasoning
You just
behind
get
it?
it.
That you just
You know, I
created?
got people from when I went to college. I got some dear friends that we still hang out a lot together, and they said everybody down there's got a nickname.
It just happened.
I don't know.
What was your nickname?
Wedgehead.
Wedge head. He had a head like a wedge.
He gave it to me,
What was yours?
but it stuck.
I don't know what mine
I don't know
was.
if you ever had a nickname.
Well,
You were
Pooch gave
one
me
of the
one after
few.
I had that Tony affair thing. It says, you're Tony now.
Pooch.
But the
That's Paul
nickname, I
Griffin.
tell you what, we used to play football on the green. And if you were a little kid, you had to go through the meat line, which was a line like the Indians did, where they beat you up and spit on you. And if you made it through without crying, you could play. So I've been down there playing. I had to go through the meat line because I was a little kid. And when you finally got to play, you know, it was a good football game, had a good time, and all the big guys would start smiling. You didn't know what for. They'd take off all your clothes, throw them up in a tree, and make you go home with nothing on. That was the initiation to play football on the green when you were a little kid.
Well, they had two teams. Two teams, the Bubbles and the Ripples.
Yeah.
And from the 5th to 6th grade, you played on the Bubbles. From the 7th to the 8th grade, excuse me, you played on the Ripples.
Because the high school team was a tidal wave. Bubbles, ripples, tidal wave.
Oh
That's-
my god!
I don't know if is that how they came up with the name? I
think-
never knew.
I don't
Those
know.
are interesting. Bubbles is an interesting name.
But this football thing, they had a guy at high school that just didn't much care for, so they invited him down to play football on the green. They did the same thing to him they did to all the little kids. He had to go home in a refrigerator box. They wouldn't give him his clothes. He'd walk along naked downtown.
refrigerator box.
And the Swartzes owned a hardware store. And Mr. Swartz, underneath the steps in his house, which is where Mark Gillieu lives now, had a complete sports shop. Baseball gloves, footballs, golf clubs. And you could go in there anytime before 6 o'clock and get whatever you wanted and go on the green and play sports. But after 6, she was drinking. You couldn't go in the house.
Yeah, she'd take a pop or two.
But we'd have games down there. I think Pigeon Point had a team one time. We beat the crud out. Nanny Roller formed a team. That was Stephen Swartz.
Stephen Swartz,
Nanny Roller.
Nanny Roller.
Yeah. I don't know why they call him that. I think he
I
rolled
don't
coins
know.
for the
Still
bank.
call him that when you see him.
Yep.
I know a lot of those nicknames have stuck too. I mean,
Oh,
people
yeah,
still
they don't
yeah,
go.
still to
Oh,
this
yeah.
day.
They don't go.
Yeah.
I can tell you some that I've hung on people you wouldn't want to know. One boy said, "Why'd you do that to me?" I said, "Son, it just fit. It just fit."
Oh my goodness.
I had a job one time building artificial fishing reefs offshore when I was in college. My father-in-law ran something downtown with Chamber of Commerce, so he had the money. And we had a boat. We had a charge account at the Fripp Island store for a case of beer every day. And Neil Trask and Bill Harvey, we would go down to the Hunting Island camping area and find some pretty gals and go fishing with us every day.
Oh, yeah.
Best job I ever had. And we'd scuba diving out there too with the sharks.
With the sharks. Oh my gosh.
That's wild. Well, guys, thank y'all so much.
Sir.
This
Thank
has
you.
been
I
so
hope
much
I
fun.
hope y'all can edit that thing.
I
pretty
know.
good.
I feel like y'all could keep
You're gonna have to
going
cut
for
something out.
hours.